Foreign policy is an ever-changing, ever-fluctuating opinion or stance a country takes in response to any outside events or influences. Today we will look at American foreign policy and specifically at the Western Front of World War II. How did the U.S. go from an isolationist point of view to an intervening power because of these events? The president at this time was FDR. After World War I, many people wanted America to focus on progressing and growing as a country, and wanted nothing to do with other countries other than the interaction of trade. FDR even gave a speech before the beginning of World War II that encouraged and supported this policy of focusing simply on the progress of America. This speech was dubbed the Quarantine Speech. The name clearly reflects the president's, and at the time, most Americans' position on foreign policy. This take on foreign policy can also be seen as World War II begins and progresses. FDR's hopes of bettering the U.S. through new policies and federal organizations was inhibited by their eventual involvement in the war. Due to the inevitable nature of our involvement, this war is when we see an obvious change in foreign policy, from isolation to intervention. After World War I ended and peace talks and treaties were being made, America was able to refocus on itself. However, we all know that peace did not last long because of this guy. In January of 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany, and a conference to discuss disarmament opened at Geneva that following month. Per Hitler's instructions, the German delegation refused the disarmament proposal, and in late October, Hitler ordered his delegation to abandon the disarmament talks and further announced that Germany was withdrawing from the League of Nations. The U.S. was never a member of the League of Nations, therefore, even though this raised a lot of red flags around the world, the U.S. took no formal action. Germany had been violating the Treaty of Versailles since the early 1920s by building up its military, not considering itself bound by the treaty's disarmament clauses. Hitler claimed that expanding the German army was a matter of national security. Again, the U.S. took no formal action against the repudiation of the Versailles Treaty. The treaty had prohibited Germany from stationing any military forces in an area known as the Rhineland. In spite of this, Hitler ordered a small force of German troops into the Rhineland. Germany makes a power movement in 1938 by annexing Austria. This came as a shock to the Roosevelt administration and was taken very seriously. However, the deciding opinion was that the primary responsibility for dealing with an aggressive Germany lay with Great Britain and France, due to the fact that America had withdrawn from the Treaty of Versailles and did not partake in the League of Nations. It was not America's responsibility to keep Germany in line. The U.S. finally begins to take steps to prepare themselves for the inevitable: participation in developing chaos. When Hitler threatened Poland after their dissatisfaction with the Munich Agreement, they demanded that the city of Danzig be returned to them, and that they be allowed to build roads and railroads to East Prussia. The Polish government refused, and tensions in Europe were high. In response to the possibility of a new war in Europe, FDR asked Congress for more than $500 million in new military expenditures. The president made a point of telling Congress that he had no intention of going to war, but that the nation needed to be prepared for any eventuality. When Germany finally invaded Poland on September 1, 1939, marking the beginning of World War II, FDR revised the neutrality laws to do away with the arms embargo altogether. As the war progressed in the East, the U.S. expanded their armed forces and didn't actually get involved until 1940-1941, when we decided to send aid to the Allies on multiple occasions. We finally see the full effect of the U.S. being an intervening power, or an aggressor even, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Germany declared war on the U.S., and we responded by declaring war on both of them. Both FDR, the U.S. government, and the American people were outraged, entered into, and stayed in the war until the Axis powers were defeated in 1945. Foreign policy goes through seasons where we are affected by outside circumstances and events. The U.S. is a world power, and as so can never fully take on the foreign policy of isolationism. Though we may try, our country was based on basic human rights and freedoms, and as a champion of these rights, we feel the need to defend and protect ourselves and those who suffer around us. That is what makes America great. Thank you so much for watching.